RMJ Movie Reviews, back again with an on-the-fly movie review of Shazam. Man, I want to tell you right off rip, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm just going to jump straight into it. First of all, I have no expectations for it. The character of Shazam, I I do remember seeing like little like comic books and pictures of this character when I was really little. But I didn't like really outright know anything about the character. From what I understand, there was a cartoon that was like way even further back. I don't know whether that was the 70s or the 60s or whatever, but apparently there was a cartoon. But I'm vaguely familiar with the character because I remember seeing him in little comic books and things from back in the day. But you know, I'm a big fan of the older DC movies, which, well, the older DC movies would just be Christopher Reeve Superman and the first Michael Keaton movie. Maybe about 70% of Batman Returns I'm a fan of. And the other percent I'm not. But as far as I'm gonna go into the DC movies a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in strictly Shazam. But I like Man of Steel. I do like Man of Steel, aka Batman, or excuse me, half Man of Steel 2, half Justice League, half Batman reboot movie, Batman v Superman. I like that movie. Aside from the Justice League stuff and the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor stuff, but I liked all the Batman and Man of Steel stuff in that movie. Wonder Woman was a genuinely good movie. I really liked that movie. Aquaman, bloated but fun, enjoyable fun. Aquaman was fun. Suicide Squad, sue me, I liked it. The interpretation of Joker, I didn't give a damn because, first of all, the two best Jokers ever are Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger. Period. I don't compare one is better than the other. Both of them are great. You know, they're in two different eras, but they're both great, and those are the two best Jokers. So whatever Jared Leto did, I just didn't care. But I like Suicide Squad, dumb fun, just like Aquaman. So coming into this movie, I know DC is pretty much, they got Wonder Woman going for them, and that's pretty much it. Aquaman is a mixed bag. Seems like general audiences really liked it, but completists and people who are really on the bandwagon and beating up DC, I don't know if they cared for it. But either way, it was another big financial hit. So going into this movie, I had no expectations. I just kind of figured this is another effort of DC to hang on to whatever they got left. And I can say, I think so far DC has a second good movie, and that would be this, Shazam. I thought this was genuinely a good movie. It was genuinely well done. It was well structured. It was fun. I tell you, pretty much flat out, there's only two negatives to this movie, which I'll get to them later. But what I flat out liked about the movie is that it has just a very light, fun tone. The tone here, I love. What I really love is that a lot of these people who are making films now are very much like cats that are like my age. You know what I'm saying? Mid, late 30s into early 40s. So we're people who grew up in the Spielbergian 80s era. So a lot of these guys who are working in the industry now are really trying to incorporate these films of this day, of the elements of what we grew up on back in the 80s, which is, like I said, light, brisk tone, little bit of naughty, raunchy humor, and real terror and horror in your family pictures. And Shazam contains all of that. The horror elements aren't as intense as maybe something like, say, Gremlins or The Neverending Story, or I'd even say parts of the Goonies with Sloth and stuff like that. The horror is not that intense, but there are some moments where I was kind of like, two moments with the creatures kind of caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. So I like that they decided not to baby these new kids of these new generation and give them some real terror. They can handle it. They'll be okay. All of us are okay. So I like that they incorporated that. That was very, and I like that they incorporated the naughty humor. Stop babying these new kids. They'll be all right. You know what I mean? That's the problem. You keep holding their hands. But I like that now, there was a nod to a gentleman's club in the movie. I thought maybe that might have pushed it a little bit too far. I thought that was a little bit too on the nose. Maybe if they would have pulled it back, particularly the name of the place was called, I think it was called the Booty Vault or something like that. I think maybe they should have toned that down maybe a little bit and just had maybe like an image of like a dancing figure and lights. I thought that would have been enough to make the point. I thought using the word booty, I thought pushed it a little bit too far for this film, in my opinion. But I still like the fact that they had the guts to go there. A little bit too much, but I still like that they went a little bit politically incorrect with some jokes. And again, it really has a warm spirit to it. There's nothing mean-spirited about this movie. It has a very warm spirit to it. So it definitely does incorporate a lot of what you would have saw in a film like E.T. back in the day. But the shift between the two, I think it was balanced. Some movie reviewers don't think it was balanced, but the shift in the tones, I think, is pretty well balanced. I didn't feel it was as far a shift in, if you watched older movies back in the day, maybe like the first Poltergeist movie, which Poltergeist 1 is fantastic and it's great. And there's some really strong elements of the second film, but in those first two movies, those are kind of advertised like family-friendly, scary movies, but the shifts are too high and low. You understand what I'm saying? So there's very warm moments, but the terror is a little bit too high. Don't get me wrong, it's great because it traumatized me fantastically, and I appreciate all that trauma that I had as a child. But sometimes in those older films, even like Gremlins 2, Never Ending Story, sometimes the shift was too high. Here, I felt that it was all pretty good balanced. Now, and I love all the kid actors. The kid actors weren't annoying. They were all, I like the way they played them. They were sweet kids. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was funny. The gentleman who plays Shazam, he did a great job. I actually wasn't very familiar with him before this movie, but I went back and realized there was a lot of stuff he did that I had seen him in and I just didn't recognize him. But and there's some nods, of course. Obviously, the biggest nod and the biggest rip-off homage, whatever you saw, is Big with Tom Hanks, which I was a big fan of Big when that came out back in the day. The dun 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 on the steps. All of us 30-somethings remember that scene. Big's a great movie, and that was a good movie to pull from. Very strong film. One of Tom Hanks's really before he became a dramatic actor. On to the negative. The villain, by the numbers, but that's okay. I can't remember the actor's name, but I've seen him in other stuff. He's a great actor. Really more his motivation is kind of like, meh, but it is what it is. You needed a formidable foe, and he's got some good, terrifying backup. So it is what it is, but I thought the villain in his motive was a little weak. Lastly, this movie is too long. Way too long. This movie, I think, is 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours. It was too long. When it got to the finale, it was like, in my personal opinion, it wore out its welcome. This movie, this really, in my opinion, this should have been an hour, 45-minute movie. Longest. 2 hours and 10 minutes. I don't, my only conclusion I can come to is the fact that when they make these movies, they're putting so much money into them that they believe they have to be these gigantic, huge, epic, 3-hour Titanic movies. It don't have to be that. This story of Shazam about a teenage kid who transforms into a wizard superhero. That's a story that warrants exactly at the longest an hour and 45 minutes and maybe 5 minutes short, hour and 40. This is not a story that merits that length. Superman with Christopher Reeve, the first movie, that merits that length. Man of Steel merits that length. Justice League which is a much shorter film that I remember it should have. That's a movie that merits length. X-Men: The Last Stand, that's a movie that was like an hour and 40 minutes. That should have been a 2 hour and a half movie. That merits length. This does not. It's too long. Lastly, the post-credit sequences that DC keeps copying from Marvel. You know, I really wish. Part of the problem is that they are trying to be Marvel. Do your own thing. Do your own thing, guys. It's okay to do superhero movies, but do your own thing. When you try to copy other people, you screwed up. Like Shazam, this is pretty much its own thing. Stick with your own thing. Those post-credit sequences, all garbage. Spoiler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Superman pops up. It's not Henry Cavill. And to me, if you were even going to have Superman there, it should have been Henry Cavill. And when you even see the guy's body size, first of all, it's a cheat because it goes from here down. They don't even show his face, and he's nowhere near as big as Henry Cavill got for those movies. So it was like, why even do it? Just why? Just why? Just guys, DC, do your own thing. Stop jocking Marvel, copying. Just stop. Do your own thing and stick with that. But aside from those negatives, great movie. It was fantastic. It was just really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I recommend Shazam. Hey man, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Don't forget to hit the little bell, ring-a-ling, ding, 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 and leave comments down below about Shazam. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you soon.